I love strategy. Strategy, 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 strategy. So when I get the opportunity to be sponsored to check out this new strategy game, Sword of Convallaria, available now on PC and mobile, of course I'm gonna take it. As you all know, I'm a master strategist, so I'm always on the prowl for new strategy games. What is Sword of Convallaria? In 1 minute or less. Oh lord, I gotta get this show on the road. Sword of Convallaria is a turn-based tactical RPG, inspired by the isometric classics of old. Y'all know the ones. It's got some juicy pixel art graphics and battles taking place on a 3D environment, backed by sweeping orchestral ballads written by Hitoshi Sakamoto, composer of Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Tactics Ogre. And the single player has over 120 hours of main story, side stories, branching narratives, and multiple endings. But I already know what you're wondering. Spaceman, how much strategy is there? Well, your pre-battle strategy is all about unit customization and improvement. You got 3 colors of units that make a nice little red, green, blue effectiveness triangle for bonus damage. And there are multiple classes within each type. You know, your classic fantasy fare with knights and magic and archers, and this chick who looks like she brought a gun to fantasy. You got a whole lot of fly homies to choose from to form up your squad, and I love the character art. They all look fresh to death. With each unit, you level them up, upgrade their weapon, get them dripped out with some gear and upgrade that too. Assign which battlefield skills to use, and rank them up every 5 levels and get a new slot on the skill tree where you have to choose between 2 new skills, and it makes for a tough decision. It's like trying to choose between dirt cake flavor cream Oreos and candy blast chips ahoy, you know what I'm saying? I'm very hungry. Anyway, strategy is all about making meaningful decisions, and this game has that in spades. Of course, you can prepare all you want, it's really all about battlefield strategy. Whereas a lot of strategy games have like hour-long battles, Sword of Convallaria has more bite-sized maps. You deploy 4 to 6 units, and each unit has its own initiative count and moves independently, so you'll be able to adjust your strategy on the fly based on enemy movements. And you can clear most maps in like 10 minutes or less. The game is not particularly difficult either, but you do have to try. You are incentivized to mix and match your squad members for each mission, depending on who you're fighting and the layout of the terrain. But for a large chunk of the game, as long as you're keeping up with your unit levels, you'll be one-shotting most enemies. Especially if you send in my girl Crimson Falcon with her twin daggers to assassinate my opposition. Get up out of here. That being said, a few of the boss maps were pretty challenging, and I had to engage big brain mode to make smart use of all my squad's abilities to win. And in good strategy design fashion, it's not just a raw numbers game. You're not just limited to use attacks. You start the game by searching for the Wheel of Fortune. Why didn't they just turn on their TV? And you play one level where your girl Mathia solos a group of strong enemies by kicking them off a cliff into the abyss. This is a really good strategy of getting rid of your ops, and it's really funny. This is the type of strategy that would have ended the Drake-Kendrick beef a lot sooner, that's all I'm saying. You really can use the environment to your advantage. The game's maps actually take place inside of a bomb storage warehouse, and there's always the classic strategy of light the enemy on fire. You gotta be smart. If they're stronger than you, then you cheat to win and shove their bodies into the barbecue. You looking at the battlefield and see more boulders laying around than Colorado? Give them a little push and watch them roll down the hill and take out 3 enemies for free. Make them eat rock. Eat rock, I'm pretty clever. There's also a variety of map objectives too. You got some route everyone, you got some defeat boss, you got some escape maps, you got some defend NPC maps, so you're gonna want to bring your best starting lineup to suit each map's needs. One unique thing the game does is show you who you'll be fighting on the battle prep screen, only for a story related event to happen on turn 1, and the game's like, just kidding, you're fighting these guys now. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I spent all that time on the prep screen coming up with the perfect strategy. One character we gotta give a shout out to is Rawia. You meet her during the end of the prologue. She's a muscly lady swinging around a big old greatsword, and she counterattacks by chugging a beer and then kicking the enemy, and then the beer heals her damage away. And when I see this, I'm all like, she should be the main character. And it turns out for the next whole chapter, she is the main character. You play through her memories and learn how the band of mercenaries was founded. It's a really touching scene. I gotta wife me up a woman like her. her. Now, I cleared the entirety of her chapter while a little bit underleveled because, as you all know, I'm a master strategist. However, I could not continue on in the main story because I had not raised my party level maximum level 17 yet. So, how do you raise it up? Well, by playing some of the other gameplay opportunities outside of the main story, like the Spiral of Destinies. Everything in this game has a cool name. And here you can experience alternate timelines and what-if scenarios of the events of the story, starring other playable characters in the game. That's pretty cool. Overall, I like the strategy features in Sword of Convallaria. The player is granted gradually expanding branches of options to choose from without overwhelming them, and plenty of scenarios in which to deploy your band of mercenaries to mix and match and experiment with all these different abilities. Now, I know what you're about to ask. Spaceman, how do you recruit your band of mercenaries? Well, you do get a few units in the story and by doing some quests that you'll naturally do just by playing the game normally. But for the most part, you get your new characters from everyone's favorite mechanic, gacha. How gacha is it? Units in this game have 4 tiers of rarity: common, rare, epic, and legendary. The bottom 3 tiers have a well-drawn portrait, but story-wise, it's a generic soldier. And the legendary ones are the ones with actual names and faces. You summon new units by picking a tarot card, and then the game gives you a new guy. The rarer the unit, the more powerful they are. You can also get new equipment through summoning as well. So on one hand, strategy games are based around having a fine balance of resources flowing to the player. You don't want them to be too weak, but you don't want them to be too strong either. How well can the game be balanced if it has no idea of the unit's strength and abilities the player will be bringing to each skirmish if your squad is mostly randomized? Especially when the rarer units have access to unique abilities that are really good. But on the other hand, plenty of high quality strategy RPGs give the player a large roster and wide variety of options to choose from. You know, games where you can reclass everyone. And those games are still fun to play and deliver a satisfying strategy experience. Sword of Convallaria balances it by having a steadily increasing level cap, which prevents you from getting over-leveled, unless you choose to grind levels for hours on end, and by giving you plenty of experience in your pool to easily keep your brand new units at the same level as your old ones. So regardless if players have all common or all legendary units, they're not too far apart in stats and capabilities. But while all the units, regardless of rarity, have unique abilities, there's no denying that the more exclusive units have better abilities. But on the third hand, I did not spend a penny on this game, nor was I all that inclined to. As you progress and just play the game normally, the game gives you plenty of resources for free summons. I know how these games go. As soon as I started the game, I opened up every single menu and opened up every single menu within a menu, and the game showers you with tons of free stuff. That being said, it can be hard to keep all of these currencies straight, trying to remember all these exchange rates like you're at an Egyptian ATM. But on the fourth hand, I'm running out of hands here. This is not a spend money type of gacha game. Again, I was able to beat it no problem using free units and free summons. Even my lower tier, run-of-the-mill units were still making major contributions on the battlefield. But as you all know, I am a master strategist. You might not be as good as me. However, if you summon duplicates, you can use those to power up your current ones. The middle 2 tiers of unit rarity are the highest probability ones, but the temptation to get the limited time units is always there looming. But on the fifth hand, they do recycle old units back into the rotation. Look, you watching this video have already made up your mind about gacha systems. I'm not gonna be the one to change your mind one way or the other here. So, who do I think will like this game? I'd say this game is like a mix of triangle strategy, Fire Emblem Heroes, and a little splash of Genshin Impact. If you enjoy strategy gameplay, you enjoy the core loop of commanding hot people to kill, and you want to play a handful of strategy maps each day, I think you'll like this game, especially if you think the art style looks cool, both the sharp pixel art of the combat and the detailed high-res art of the characters. There's also a talking cat, and you can decorate your base with furniture. I didn't know where else to mention that in the video, but those are pretty fun features. Try the game out in the beta. I'd say overall, I had a pretty fun time with it, and I think I may keep playing the game a little bit more in my free time. And the game is free to play, and available on PC and mobile now, right now! You can check out the game using the link in the description. And if you do decide to try it out, I got the hookup for y'all. Use code SOCCREATOR, all caps, all one word, to get some free bonus rewards in the game. Thanks again to Sword of Convallaria for sponsoring today's video and letting me try out a new strategy game early. And if you want another perspective on the game, check out Vasco Games' video on it. He tried the game out early too. And that's it, video's over.